So Singapore Math. Let's now understand what Singapore Math is all about. It is a method of learning which uses three distinct approaches to understand the mathematical concepts and the problem solving. Now, what are the three distinct approaches that we are talking about? Well, it's extremely easy, but before that, what it ensures is, it ensures that the students are able to actively think. They are able to understand, which is a very important segment. Please keep that in mind. And it also helps in communicating what the problem is. Once the students understand, they are thinking, well, they are able to understand what the problem is all about, and they are able to communicate to you that, okay, this is the mathematical problem that I need to solve. Then they will be able to reach the result far much more easier. And what is best about Singapore Math approach is it emphasizes on the why before the how. So once you understand the why of it, then the how follows automatically. As I told you, it follows the three important steps. What are they? Concrete, pictorial, and abstract. What does concrete mean? Concrete means anything that you can touch, feel, play. For example, it could be using certain puppets like these. It could be using pens, it could be using cubes, it could be using blocks, it could be using any of these, which I call it as manipulatives. So concrete is to understand what it is in terms of using those manipulatives. So whether it is a word problem or whether it is a simple addition, so you will understand. So number sense is a very important thing that we develop in children. And that happens through this concrete stage wherein we are able to understand, they are able to see it for themselves. Visualization is extremely important. The brain first visualizes, understands, sees it, and then it puts in mind, and then you can translate it into the next step that we are talking about, which is the pictorial. What do we do in pictorial? So the first step, we had got used to certain, manipulatives which we had. Now we are translating that into maybe dots, maybe number bonds, maybe model drawing, circles. It could be various things in terms of the pictorial approach. And once the children clear that, so please understand, you have the concrete, which is extremely important. You cannot skip one to the next level at all. So you have the concrete step that you have, then you have the pictorial approach that you have, and then you have the abstract, wherein you put it in the form of a number sentence. Like what is 5 plus 3, or what is the ratio. This concept that I'm talking about is not only for the elementary level. It goes on to the middle school also, and yes, very much used in the high school too. So this is a very interesting concept in Singapore Math, wherein we are going to be breaking it down into these three levels. And each of the videos will have to be seen one after the other. So just in case you have subscribed later on and you are seeing the next few episodes, I would recommend that you take a pause there. Go back, start from the very first Singapore Math series. This is the first, which is basically an introduction to Singapore Math. And then go on to what is there as the next one and the next in terms of the order. So once you maintain that order, you will understand what we talk about in concrete, pictorial, and abstract. And also, like in most cases, we have the addition, then we have the subtraction, and then we go to the multiplication. We will be doing various types of problems which will involve any of these operations. It need not have to go hierarchically, because that is where the students face a huge problem in terms of deciphering whether a word problem, I need to do certain operations on it. I know these are the 4 operations that are there. But what do I do? Do I do addition or subtraction or multiplication or division? Because after each chapter, the word problem that has been given would be basically for that particular operation. And hence the students are so used to being spoon-fed. So it is important, students, teachers and parents, wherein we understand that let the children understand why before the how. And for that, we need to go through these processes. So make sure that you see the videos in order so that you understand and you don't miss out on anything. So what is our learning today? Singapore Math. It is involved on 3 basic approaches, which is the concrete, the pictorial, and the abstract approach. And what is concrete? Concrete approach is where we use certain items which we call it as manipulatives. These are being used for what? We are going to understand the why. What is it which is given in the problem? Try and replicate it with certain manipulatives, which could be blocks, cubes, puppets, crayons, pencils, pens, anything that you have at home. It could even be things from the kitchen. I keep often saying that, you could take up those fryams, you could take up those pasta shells, etc. and have them, or macaroni and have them and replicate them. These are manipulatives, which is very important. And the other thing that we need to do is to translate from the concrete to the pictorial method. And what is it in pictorial method? Where we are going to be using either it could be dots, like the domino dots, or it could be number bonds, or it could be simple circles, or it could be, for example, model drawing, which is actually used not only to understand these operations, but it is beautifully used in terms of when you're going to be translating it into questions like ratios, percentages, and further on the higher grades too. And then get on to the abstract, which is basically translated into the mathematical numbers, or rather use the math concepts that are being given there in terms of symbols. So that is the approach that we're going to be following, and I'm sure you're going to have fun. But make sure whenever you see the videos, have a notepad with you, and make sure you use the same notepad, because there would be things where you would want to make a note of it and refer to it later on. And the more you practice, the more you will fall in love with Singapore math. So wonderful. Let's get started.